Greetings and salutations, everyone. So, disclosure, this is for educational purposes only. I am not suggesting anything here as far as investing and accounting and things of that nature. So if you would like to invest your own money, consult the proper parties, do your own homework, and make sure your decisions work for you. So, interestingly enough, I just went about 8 minutes on the last video and realized that I didn't have the mic on. So, round two. But in the last 2 or 3 days, I've been doing some homework and been taking some notes. And the three things that I've been doing my homework on is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, the MACD, the Moving Average Convergence and Divergence Chart, and the FOMC, which is, I just looked at the damn acronym, but the Federal Open Market Committee. So starting with the Relative Strength Index, I'm going to take these off. I was also looking at the UPS, aka UPS chart, because I've been seeing a lot of that on Twitter and things of that nature. So briefly about the RSI, and the best way that I can explain it and how I understand it is it's measured from 0 to 100, but the levels at 70 and 30 are ones to be aware of. 70 means overbought and 30 means undersold. And as you can see by looking at it, once it's under the 30 range, it goes up. Once it's under the 30 range, it goes up. Under the 30 range, it goes up. Hasn't been oversold in a while. But also on the last one, when I just recorded and I was mute, to the weekly chart, just looking at UPS right now, the levels of support that it's at right now hasn't been since June 19, 2020. And looking at the weekly chart, the last 2 weeks after it touched off this level, it has been increasing. So if you're a regular investor or an options trader, then this might be a good stock to check out. Going back to the day chart, once again, looking good at this level. We go over to the hour chart. I just added the aftermarket hours and stuff like that, so I'm really excited about that, looking into that. But going back to August 1st, bounced off this level or near this level on August 1st and has since been steadily climbing. Moving on to the MACD, I have been trying to understand this better, because from what I'm understanding and explaining is that it doesn't care for the actual candles on the stock chart, and it's more confirmation in addition to other technical analysis and things of that nature. Because I was curious, which made me do the research, was this area right here, Apple, is lots of volume here and is steadily increasing with a lot of price action on, this was April 9th, and 184 million volume. And I'm like, how can all this be going on and it's rising, but the MACD is negative? And with the MACD measures, so the hologram, well, the histograms, I'm sorry, are the bars. The MACD, it's all the way not clear, so I'm not probably going to explain as well as I like to, but looking back on my notes, it's a momentum indicator in trading. And it helps answer two questions. Is the trend up or down? And how strong is that trend? So it has three parts. The MACD line is positive short-term, price is above long-term average, which is bullish. And the negative part, the short-term price is below long-term average, which is bearish. The signal line, which is the blue line, is a 9-day EMA of the MACD line. And the orange line is either the 12 or the 26, EMA. Like I said, still learning, not explaining this as great as I like to and I should, but we're trying to improve here, so keep on moving forward. Also, the FOMC, they meet 8 times a year. The current federal chair guy is Jerome Powell. He may not be there much longer because Trump is beefing with him, but Trump just gonna be trumping. So they meet 8 times a year, roughly every 6 weeks. So at the end of January, the middle of March, the beginning of May, the middle of June, the end of July, the middle of September, the end of October, and the beginning of December. And on 4 of those meetings, in the March one, the June one, the September one, and the December one, that includes the summary of economic projections. And they are especially significant because they give the market forecasts and things like that. So it's obviously directly tied into the stock market. And the 2 meetings typically start at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And the Fed chair, which is Jerome Powell, he would get on at 2:30. And basically what this does, it affects the interest rate of the country. And either they're cutting the rates or they're increasing the rates. So if they cut the rates, let me go to my notes because I don't want to say the wrong thing here. So if they cut the rates, the banks can borrow more cheaply. So that's basically what that does. The banks holding or giving more money to each other. And they lower the rates for the customers, which means that borrowing spending increases and boosts growth, but it can cause inflation. On the opposite end, if they raise the rate, borrowing gets more expensive and spending slows. It helps cool inflation, but can slow the growth. So a lot of times in my experiences and time investing, I noticed that when the Fed does meet, they have an effect on the market. And I just, from what I feel like and understand and know, it's good to understand it and learn more about it to help become a better trader. So, yeah. So coming up on 7 minutes, I want to go back to this ups chart and just get into a few more things about it. So I had some levels back here from a long time ago. It's since greatly gapped down. The 29th closed at 129 and gapped down to 113. That's a hell of a gap down. And it has been steadily going down since. But once again, looking back on it, they had earnings at the end of July. And I know based on one of my last videos going over the financials, earnings is tied into the income statement and not the balance sheet. So they did actually decrease in earnings from quarter one. But overall, as a balance sheet, it looks on the outset, it looks decent on the outset. Once again, I don't know the balance sheet that well, but that's one thing that I plan on studying. But just looking back on the hour chart, and it's going down and bouncing right back up on this 84.22 level range. So it looks to be going back in an upward direction. So also I've been looking a lot into the candlestick patterns themselves. Like this one would be considered a dragonfly. The opposite would be a gravestone doji. And yeah, so learning some stuff. Want to keep on improving and things of that nature. So one of the questions that I did ask chat, why is the MACD negative with high volume on green days? So what it measures is, it says the MACD equals fast EMA minus slow EMA, which is 12 minus the 26. So more for me to learn and understand anyway. Like I said, please forgive me if I'm not explaining this too well. But ultimately what the MACD is doing is confirming that what the chart is doing is actually could be true and it could be false. But as we can see on here, the MACD has been in a downward slope, and typically if you see the MACD, it always streaks for a nice amount of time in one direction. And so these actually just converged here, and then you caught a green histogram here. So in my limited knowledge and explanations, UPS could be looking good and going in the right direction. So, also I just finished watching some Aristotle videos. I'm not sure if he mentioned it, but yeah. So, we're going to end that here because I like to stay around 10 minutes. I have something from some homework that I'm going to do next, and I'm really excited about that because it could be a good one. Peace, love, and blessings. See y'all soon.